Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do something a little bit different here and address the 2028 presidential election, which will inevitably happen. Um, yeah, so I've heard a lot of people talk about potential runners, people who are going to run, um, and who's the best candidate and doing a tier list. And originally that's what I was going to do. But then I decided, fuck that, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you the simple, easy, thing of why AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, is the best candidate to run. I could rank them and tell you why Kamala Harris would be a terrible candidate to run, why Pete Buttigieg would be a terrible candidate to run, why Josh Shapiro would be a terrible candidate to run, do all of that. But instead of doing that, I'm just going to tell you why AOC is a great candidate, why I think she's the clear nominee for 2028. So anyway, yeah, let's get right into it. So the first thing I want to go over here is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's platform, because she's a Congress member for New York's 14th district. So on the federal level, we already know a lot of her policy as she is fighting for it in Congress currently. Um, and AOC has really, really fantastic policy. If we go here, uh, you go up to the issues page. Whoa, it's kind of glitching out. You see that? You go to issues. First off, I want to point out she has an issues page because she cares. Not everyone has that issues page, as I constantly remind everyone who watches my videos. Not everyone has an issues page. So you go to issues, and she's just got all these issues. She's got a plan. She knows what she's doing. Um, yeah. So first off, it starts off here with Medicare for All. AOC, of course, is a very big supporter of Medicare for All alongside Bernie Sanders. She is a co-sponsor in the U.S. House of Representatives for the Medicare for All Act, and she has consistently voted to advance it in the U.S. House of Representatives. Um, and as this relates to 2028, this would be really, really beneficial for a Democratic candidate in 2028 from a electability standpoint. I'll go over to this article here by Truthout. 6 in 10 Americans back Medicare for All. This is a poll. New polling demonstrates that nearly 6 in 10 Americans are supportive of Medicare for All in the United States, with only a quarter of voters voicing opposition to universal health care system. According to the Economist/YouGov poll published earlier this week, 59% of Americans back the idea of Medicare for All. Only 27% of those polled said that they do not support this idea. And this was posted just a couple days ago, July 11th, 2025. So I was looking up a poll because I know that previously when Bernie Sanders was running for president in 2020, that number was up to 7 in 10 Americans. It was 70%. But Medicare for All was polling at 70%. And I attribute that to the fact that it was being advertised. Of course, it's not really being advertised now because no one's running on it, for president because no one's running for president. But that being said, Medicare for All has consistently been popular, and even now, in a not presidential election year, you can still see it's very, very popular with the American people. And on the surface, this makes a lot of sense. Medicare for All would establish a universal healthcare system in the United States of America, and this would effectively catch us up with other countries around the world, and many of our allies, like the UK, Germany, France, Spain, China has a universal healthcare system. Japan, all these different advanced countries have a universal healthcare system. The United States is the only one without a healthcare system, without some type of government-run healthcare system in the modern world. So that's why some Americans are so supportive of it. Yeah, so that's one really good reason why AOC is a very good candidate for 2028 is that she supports policies which are objectively popular. Medicare for All is an objectively popular policy. It almost gave Bernie Sanders the nomination back in 2020 and in 2016. Furthermore, on top of supporting Medicare for All, she also supports a Green New Deal. She also is a supporter of Green New Deal. The Green New Deal, I don't think I have it pulled up here. Green New Deal uh, approval rating is also quite a popular piece of legislation. At least it was during the Data for Progress 2024. At least it was during the 2020 election. So let's see here. We can't find a example of it being popular here. A majority of voters support the Green New Deal agenda. 65%. 65%. There we go. These Green New Deal bills all enjoy strong majority support among the American voters. And they kind of break it down, Data for Progress. What is, which part is supported, which part of the Green New Deal is supported, because the Green New Deal is made up of multiple different sections. And they each have different approval ratings, but all of them together are objectively popular, 65% overall. So that's really big. That's another huge policy she supports, which the American people also back. And another reason, so that's another reason why AOC is a great candidate. And finally, on her, to conclude her policy page, I wanted to talk about her support for, of course, for abortion rights. Let's see here. So, of course, being a person on the left and a Democrat, well, mostly someone on the left, she supports legalized abortion. Now, this is another massive issue. Legal abortion has a huge is incredibly popular. Legalizing abortion is incredibly popular. Even some Republicans come across the aisle and support it. Abortion also has a very popular approval rating for keeping its legal status in the United States. It was actually an unpopular opinion when the Supreme Court overturned it. And as you can see here, Alexandria believes that women's rights are human rights and that all women deserve equal access to workplace safety, equal pay, paid parental leave, that's another big one, full access to health care, and more. Here's another big one, paid parental leave. So this kind of falls under the umbrella of paid family and medical leave. Which is something that was proposed in Joe Biden's Build Back Better, which is a policy she fought for in Congress. She fought Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema and tried to get the Build Back Better bill to pass. It did not end up passing, but this was what was in the bill. So that is also kind of a side note, but also a good example of why she's a good candidate. She fights for things that she believes in. Paid family medical leave is something she fought for, honestly harder than Joe Biden, and it was Joe Biden's bill. So her policies are very solid. She supports policies which the majority of Americans support. That's one very strong reason AOC should be the candidate for president in come 2028. But another important aspect is this, where the base is for the Democratic Party. So as you can see here, the New York Post, job approval for congressional Democrats hits all-time low. Flat out terrible. This was published today, July 16th. The job approval rating for congressional Democrats has plunged to another all-time low, with fewer than 2 in 10 Americans happy with their work on Capitol Hill. Only 19% of registered voters approve the way Democrats in Congress are handling their jobs. 19%! 80% of people say they're doing a bad job. 80%. This dismal rating for the congressional Democrats is the lowest ever recorded by the pollster, which first began asking the question in 2009. 19%. That's down from 27% among Democrats. So as you can see, they've fallen even lower. While this is true, let's go over to this article, The Independent. AOC viewed positively by more Americans than Trump or Harris. Poll finds. AOC is viewed positively by more Americans than Trump or Harris. That's massive. If we go down here to the article. Congresswoman AOC is more well-liked than President Trump, former President Joe Biden, and former Vice President Kamala Harris, according to a new poll. Despite the fact that AOC can be polarizing even within her own party, she's still more popular than most currently active U.S. politicians, Newsweek reports. The Congresswoman was beat only by former President Barack Obama and his wife, former First Lady Michelle Obama. AOC had a positivity rating of 46%, with 44% of respondents saying they had a negative view of her, and another 10% saying they were unsure. So she has a net positive rating, which in this day and age is very, very rare. So that's another incredible thing that AOC has going for her come 2028, is that when the Democratic Party is at an all-time low, she is still very popular, coming second place to a former president and first lady. So AOC being popular is going, if she chose to run, would not only put her ahead come Democratic primary, but also in the general election, because this poll does say she's viewed more positively than Harris, but also than Donald Trump. This was a very close election in 2024 between Trump and Harris. The polls literally had them tied. Had the nominee been AOC, which I don't believe she would be old enough to run, if I'm not mistaken, maybe she would have, but had the nominee been AOC and run against Trump, this could have been a very different election, being that AOC has a higher approval rating than most politicians in Congress right now. Finally, I also want to talk about AOC's electability just as a person, policy aside. If we go here to Pew Research Center, we can find that the average median age in the U.S. House of Representatives is 57 years old, and the median age in the Senate is 64. People in Congress, surprise, surprise, are old as fuck. AOC is not. AOC is on the younger side of this spectrum. How old is AOC exactly? I'm not sure. Age, let's see here. 35 years old. So she is literally just on the cusp of being able to run for president. Even Bernie Sanders down here is 83 years old. 83. So that is another thing that AOC has going for her, is that she is a young person. She would be 39 when she ran for president in 2028. And this is something that she definitely has going for her. People consistently do want to see younger candidates, people that look more like them. And AOC definitely brings this to the table by being younger. Another aspect of AOC which is important is the fact that she is a Latino woman with Puerto Rican roots, who lives in New York City. And this is important because here is a map of where the largest Hispanic populations are in the United States of America. And as you can see, of course, as expected, it's along the Mexican-American border, but also down here in Florida, near Cuba, in New York, Illinois. But I do want to focus on two states here in particular, and then I'll get into a couple of more. But mainly, Texas and Florida have massive Latino populations. Florida being from both Mexico and Cuba, and Texas being mainly from Mexico. Being that AOC is a Latino woman, this would definitely help her possibly be able to win the state of Texas, a state which has consistently been trending towards the Democrats for the past 10 years. Kamala Harris was not able to pull it off. She, in fact, did a lot worse than Joe Biden did during 2020. But when Joe Biden ran in 2020, he was within 2 points, if I'm not mistaken, of taking Texas. In fact, Attorney General Ken Paxton said that the only reason Joe Biden did not win the state of Texas is because he tried to inhibit people from being able to use ranked choice voting. Furthermore, Hillary Clinton and Biden also came within 2 points in the state of Florida. Traditionally, Florida, for the past 20 years, has been a swing state, but it has now trended more right in every election. But I strongly believe that if AOC is able to be the Democratic nominee, that is very possible she wins over the states of Florida and Texas, just like Barack Obama was able to do, not necessarily for Texas, but for Florida and North Carolina. AOC is a young, energetic Latina woman who I think would have a very good time with these states here. And I think it's very, very possible that we see her flip these states from lean red to lean blue. Furthermore, I wanted to talk about Georgia and North Carolina. As you can see, they also have significant Latino populations. They are a little bit darker here than the states surrounding them. Two more very important swing states, ones that Kamala Harris was not able to get, only one of which um, what's Joe Biden was able to attain in 2020 was Georgia. This could bode well for her as well. And then finally, Arizona. Arizona is a state which Joe Biden barely won by the skin of his teeth in 2020, but has a massive Latino population. If AOC is the nominee, once again, I think this could bode very well for her in Arizona. So that is the electability standpoint with both her age and her race. I think she stands a very good chance of being able to win voters and bring people out to vote who are traditionally Democrats but may not be inspired by a white 80-year-old man running. Anyway, so that's why I believe that AOC is really the best candidate for president. AOC's policies are popular. AOC remains popular even during an unpopular time for Democrats, and her character is definitely what the Democratic Party is looking for in terms of being able to swing voters. If you liked this content, make sure to like and subscribe.